Georgia's best is still better than anyone. That was Greg McElroy earlier this week talking about the Dogs, who are fresh off of a top 10 blowout of Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin and company coming into Sanford Stadium and just getting run on Saturday night in Athens. I thought that they would beat them. I thought that they would cover, as we talked about. I'm not sure I felt like it would be this nasty until I saw the two teams play. About the first quarter, I knew Ole Miss was in some real trouble, even though they were keeping it close. They could not stop Georgia. And that's probably what Greg McElroy is talking about right now. He's saying, hey, look, if Georgia plays the way that they are capable of playing, they're not losing. Well, he didn't say that, but they're better than anyone. They are better than anyone. I mean, we have more now. We know more now than we have in the past. We know what Michigan looks like against a legitimate top 15 team, top 20 team in Penn State. I don't even know if they're top 15. We know we've seen Georgia now in back-to-back showdowns against top 15 teams. We've seen the Noles play a lot. We've said Ohio State. Ohio State I think might be tougher than people realize, like as a program, as a team right now. They would be a real challenge. Michigan would be a real challenge for Georgia. I think Florida State would, but I got to tell you, I had someone I was talking to on Monday that was not as down with that comment as he just didn't see that. But that's just him. And then you got UW and Oregon as well as Texas. Texas is going to have to really play well to beat Georgia, and that assumes Georgia doesn't play well. I think the question is, will Georgia not play well at some point? Will they have a moment in time where they're not playing well on a big stage? That can happen. They lost the SEC championship in 21 to Alabama. They didn't play great against Ohio State, but last year, but they won the game, and that's really kind of all that matters. I think the other thing is too, what's a bit of a bias against Georgia, and there's plenty of bias for Georgia. One sort of thing that's out there right now is that Georgia's going for a three-peat, but that really has nothing to do. Like 2021 has nothing to do with wins or losses now. I mean, when you think about the 2021 game against UAB, like it's irrelevant. I got a great deal for you. If you sign up for our newsletter below, you will enter into a drawing to get this for free. This is our 2024 recruiting guide. Now, I'm not making a lot of these, so sign up now. It's going to be the folks that sign up between Tuesday and I'll tell you when it ends. So sign up. The newsletter is right down below. You're going to get this for free. I'll mail it to you. Make sure your email's working. I've done this in the past and people haven't commented back. So make sure you're signing up. You can also get it for free with Double Dogs. The link for that is down below as well. So make sure that you're taking advantage of this while you can. This is not going to last forever. This offer is very limited. It's not like the season preview. Okay? Very limited. The link is down below. It's going to ship out later in December, but the link is down below. So I think for me, when you start thinking about what Greg McElroy, so Greg McElroy is sort of the word cerebral comes to mind, but he is sometimes a contrarian, sometimes I just think he's very thoughtful, generally speaking, about things, and it's pretty evident though to me, and probably a lot of other people too out there in the world of college football, that this Georgia team, if they're playing well, they're just not going to lose. I mean, his comment was Georgia's best is still better than anyone. And I don't know if we knew that earlier this year. That was something that was not an obvious thing heading into October. It was not obvious that Georgia's best was better than everybody else. And, Georgia's gotten better. I mean, that's just all there is to it. They've gotten better in a way that Alabama has gotten better, in a way that Texas has not, in a way that we don't know with Michigan. We just don't know. We don't know really with Ohio State. I don't know that they're better. I'm not like casting judgments. Washington seems to be getting worse. Is that possible? Can you get worse as a really good team as the time goes on? Florida State's just so herky jerky, but Georgia has gotten better for sure. Alabama, it's the most noticeable that they've gotten better. But I think those two teams specifically have been two of the teams in college football that have gotten better as time has gone on in the season. I was going to say Clemson. I don't know if you could say that at all. I mean, they've just been such a wreck. And I think Georgia Tech's gotten better versus last year. I just don't think Georgia Tech's necessarily. I mean, I mentioned Clemson, and you watch Georgia Tech, and you're like, what did I just see? What did I just witness here? What was this debauchery on the field while I was drinking my whiskey clear, right? I mean, what was that? So I don't think you can say they're getting better. But Georgia, I think noticeably, Alabama noticeably, perhaps Georgia has gotten better more noticeably than anybody else. That's a good question. I don't know that, but they've gotten better. And it's going to be hard to beat them. If the game were in Sanford, I don't think I'd take anybody against Georgia. If the game's neutral, that's a little bit harder to know the answer to. I think that, we already know that Georgia's going to be a 4 or 5 point favorite against Alabama. And we'll just see as time goes on what happens there. But what would they be against Florida State? Like, how large a favorite would they be against the Noles? Where would they be against Ohio State? They'd be favored there. What would that number be? So there's a lot of questions that are, sort of out there. Georgia and Michigan are just right on top of each other in terms of who the favorite to win the national championship is. Michigan's at plus 220. Georgia's at plus 250. Georgia's been around the same number the whole year. Michigan's just zoomed past them. Zoom is probably not the quite right way to put it. And then Alabama at plus 750 and Ohio State at plus 800. Florida State at plus 900. Oregon at plus 900. UW at plus 1300. People can feel that Texas and Washington are not playing as well as they did. Plus 1300 for UW, plus 1800 for Texas. It's just not as sort of crisp as it's been. One action item that's challenging for Georgia is their path, which is not the path that some other schools are dealing with. Georgia still has top 20 Tennessee as well as the SEC championship game. Florida State has the highest odds to get to the playoff at minus 270, Michigan at minus 240, Georgia at minus 230, Oregon at minus 280 at 180, UW at plus 115, Ohio State at plus 150. Alabama at plus 160 tells you kind of all you need to know about all these situations. But our friends at FanDuel have already released the Georgia-Alabama line. I cannot get it to propagate for me. But they have it at 4 right now. I was about to say 5. They have it at 4. So, and that's on a neutral field. I think Georgia and Athens would maybe be favored by 8. And it would be pretty much a pick 'em at Alabama. Maybe they'd be a point dog or a point favorite, something like that. But if you're a 4-point favorite, you should win. There's not a certainty or anything like that. But you probably should win that game. You're the better team, you should probably win. What is Ohio State, Michigan? That is at. Why are there so many teams named Ohio and Michigan? That's what I want to know. Isn't one enough? So Michigan's a 5.5 point favorite at home. I think that's probably about right. That means on a neutral field, Michigan would very narrowly be favored to beat Ohio State. It would be very narrowly favored, anywhere from 1 to 2 as the favorite there. So, and in Ohio, Michigan probably still be favored, but maybe not by much. And it depends on, whether you're giving somebody 3 to 5 for home field. But I think, what we're really talking about now is if Kirby can get Georgia to play peak Georgia when they need to play that way. If they'll do that, they're going to win the national championship. And it's not something that really you saw coming earlier this year. Like that was not something that was obvious about this team. Oh yeah, they didn't, like, there were flaws, and there still are flaws. There still are. It's just it's harder and harder to see them. I mean, I gotta tell you, it is harder and harder to see them because this program right now has really done a good job of eliminating waste, errors. It's coached out of them. And I think that over time, if Georgia continues to be healthy, continues to play the way they've been playing, it's going to be hard to stop these Dogs. I'm going to let you know that right now. Thanks for watching.